Leah says they're both brainwashed. Exactly. I'm inclined to agree that. Oh yeah, the guest didn't join. I'm inclined to agree that they're both brainwashed. I think possibly it'll be the leftists that are more brainwashed. But okay. So here's the thing. Neither side realizes that they're brainwashed. Yeah. But I think the right wingers are less likely to realize that they're brainwashed. But the leftists know that. I feel like the leftists are more likely to know that they're brainwashed, but they're more likely to think that their brainwashing is good. So you'll notice that leftists will be like, go and get educated. If you ask leftists, where do your opinions come from? They'll be like, it comes from my education. I went and got brainwashed. But they think they got brainwashed in the correct way. So I feel like leftists are more aware that they're brainwashed, right? The right wingers are not as aware that they're brainwashed, but they're less brainwashed. I hope that makes sense. We've got 5 people in the live, guys. Tap the screen. Someone says that left are woke, right brainwashed. That's the conflict. So are you saying woke as in they're awake to what's going on, the people on the left? And are you saying only the right are brainwashed? That'd be interesting. Someone says the left by a landslide. Okay. Yeah, I think the left are far more brainwashed, but the right are less likely to realize that they're brainwashed. What do you think are the top 5 areas where each group is brainwashed? Great question. Okay, so I would say, first, the top way that right wingers are brainwashed is that they're brainwashed by nationalism. So they don't realize that nation states were just created by the people that control you. So they think like, I'm loyal to my nation, therefore I'm doing the right thing. How can I be doing something wrong if I'm loyal to my nation? But what they don't realize is that there's no such thing as borders. Borders were created by the people that control us. They created borders, right? And then put a flag on it, which is just a bunch of colors. And then now they're telling you, this is what you should be loyal to. It's just a bunch of colors on a square, right? So that's number 1, is how the right are brainwashed. Number 2 of how the right are brainwashed is the right are brainwashed to encourage government intervention without realizing it. So someone, just for the people joining, someone asked what are the top 5 ways both are brainwashed. Number 1, rights are brainwashed by nationalism. They believe that a flag is inherently meaningful. 2, the right wingers also believe that that government intervention is the only way to solve the issue. So they'll say things like, we need to create laws to keep the immigrants out. We need to create laws to give the police more power. We need to create laws. So they don't realize that by doing this, they're just strengthening the state's power. This is what I mean when I say the right don't realize how the way that they're brainwashed. Number 3 way that the right are brainwashed. I guess they're brainwashed to blame the symptom rather than the cause. So they blame non-whites for a lot of issues, not all the time, but they blame non-whites for a lot of issues, not realizing that they are more of the symptom. Like having a lot of non-white people in your country is a symptom, not the cause of your problems. And what happens is on the right, they focus on only things that are done by the people that are at the lower rungs of society. So they'll say things like, oh, they commit the most violent crime, but violent crime is not the only kind of crime. It's the only kind of crime that's easy to detect. So that's number 4 of how the right are brainwashed, is that they don't understand crime is a created concept. And when you focus on one kind of crime, it's easy to demonize one group of people because you're only focusing. And some people say violent crime is the worst kind of crime. Well, the reality is that violent crime is actually the least effective kind of crime in terms of that it affects society really the least, because political corruption affects society way more than violent crime. What's the number 5 way that the right are brainwashed? Oh yeah, definitely be the war effort. The war hawks brainwash the right and make them believe that intervention in other countries is normal. There seems to be like this cognitive dissonance on the right where they're like, it's okay to go to other countries to fix them, or okay to go to other countries to control their resources, but it's not okay to go to other countries to immigrate. So that's the 5 ways that the right are brainwashed. I'm going to re-listen for everyone that's just joining. The 5 ways the right are brainwashed. They're brainwashed to think that flags and nation states are inherently meaningful. They're brainwashed, no particular order. They're brainwashed to think that intervention in other countries is okay when they do it. They're brainwashed to think that government intervention is a way of solving problems. They're brainwashed to focus on only certain types of crime. And what was the last one? I can't remember the last one, but you guys, Anyway, so now let's do the top 5 ways the left are brainwashed. Okay, I'll say the number 1 way that the left are brainwashed is that Okay, here's my number one way that the left are brainwashed. They think that by being taught something in a mainstream educational system, that makes it right. That's the number one way. So the people on the left, they think that if you learned something at school, or a scientist told you it, or a doctor told you it, that means that it's true. They don't do enough investigation about the things that they get taught by the mainstream. So I'd say that's the number one way that the left are brainwashed. The number two way that the left are brainwashed is that they don't recognize that there is inherent differences between the racial groups that are basically insurmountable. They think that people are inherently the same other than having a different skin hue. So that's number two way that the left are brainwashed. Number three way that the left are brainwashed is that they think that a lifestyle, basically like the do what thou wilt, like they think that people's lifestyles you can't make a moral judgment on people's lifestyles. So they're like, if they don't understand that some people will believe that cultures are superior to other cultures, they think like, just by virtue of someone choosing a lifestyle, that means it's okay. So they'll say, if I choose to dress up like a horse, put a dildo on my head and run around in a circle, they're like, oh, that's okay as long as you are happy. But obviously there are downstream effects of people's behaviors. I'd say number four is that I guess they've been brainwashed to think that a child in the womb isn't a child. I don't know how they pulled that one off. That's crazy that they actually fell for that one. And then what's the number five way that the left are brainwashed? Oh, the number five way that the left are brainwashed is that they think that they are entitled to the money of other people. And they think that if you think that you shouldn't be entitled to the money of other people, that means you're morally bad. So they're like, let's solve problems. Give us your money. And they don't understand that if somebody has money, they don't want to give you their money. They're like, if you don't want to give the money to the government, you're bad. Right? So I'd say that's the top five ways either side are brainwashed. Okay. Michael M says content ideas running low. I see. Oh, I never run out of content ideas. We're just getting started, bro. Like, I've been doing the same topic for ages. We're just getting started. I've got like 17 different topics now. So you're stuck with me. You're going to keep seeing my black face on your screen. Yeah, on TikTok. And we're streaming live on YouTube as well now. Okay. Sevi says left is more brainwashed, but not by much. I would say the left are... So my take is the left are far more brainwashed, but the right are far less likely to realize that they're brainwashed. What are you on about? Why are you coping? Okay, none of them are brainwashed except the extremists. I'm pretty sure that's false. Like, I think most people in society are brainwashed, heavily brainwashed. In fact, I'd say it's to the point where you can't even meet. It's very rare that you'll even meet someone that isn't extremely brainwashed these days. And obviously, how can you guys think that we're not really brainwashed when we all watch television? So it's like, we spend like 99% of our time consuming content that's fed to us by people that we don't even know. How can we all not be brainwashed if most of our ideas and opinions come from mass media? Charlie says, remember the insurrection where MAGA believed it was the left? No one was charged though. Oh yeah, the insurrection. See, this is the thing. All these like culture wars talking points. Hold on, I'm trying to do my window projector. How do I do this? Guys, I'm streaming on YouTube in case you guys are interested in watching the stream in a different setup. I don't know why it's not letting me. Window projector, open window projector. Where is it? Okay, let's just keep it like this for now. They're equally brainwashed. Left tricked everybody into thinking men can become women. I don't know how they did that. Left are brainwashed, but far right are more in denial to believe they're brainwashed. Yeah, that's my take, pretty much. Mary Dawes is definitely left. Amy says the worst ones are the old peeps who aren't on social media and get their news from mainstream media. That's true. Actually, no, that's a good point. That the boomers, who's the most brainwashed generation? It's got to be the boomers, right? The boomers are OD brainwashed, like overly brainwashed. Why wasn't it showing me my thingy? It's really annoying. I'm on YouTube streaming, guys. Jetski says both brainwashed as fucked. Y Lime says there's different spectrums though, like communists are different to socialists. Yeah, we know, but we don't. I don't know. Communist, socialist, you guys are all the same, really, aren't you? You just want a big government. Arguably, both are brainwashed. Both sides are fighting for their beliefs. No, just get rid of the government. Okay. Which side wants to get rid of the government though? It seems like both of them love the government. Left thinks men can become. Robert, I don't think all of them think that though. The ones that somehow think Goku is not the GOAT, those are the brainwashed ones. True, Goku is dope as fuck. The far left is more mainstream on the left. The far right, no one listens to. Mitt says it's a losing battle with the government, but I'm not trying to look like a crazy nut job. Yeah, you get a lot of people that they know what's going on, but they just don't want the issues to come onto them. I'm not really like that. I don't really mind, like, I don't even really mind being targeted by the government, because I feel like you only have one life, and, you might as well, go with what you believe in life. If the government targets you, the government's going to target you. Wylam says, hey, enough of that. We're all the same. Not that phrase. Michael says, me, I'm brainwashed. We're all brainwashed. Anyone who chooses one side is brainwashed too. Both sides are brainwashed. Blue and the red is still the government. People who care about the side, both because Israel own both. Ain't it funny that the left protests against racism, yet no POC is there to protest with them? So true, so true. If you blindly follow either, you're brainwashed. Neither is inherently brainwashed. I agree with the first part of your statement. Zillatown says government control, y'all. True that. Stella says the left is destroying the culture of Europe and will turn it into a Middle Eastern wasteland. Is that really? Do the left disagree with that? Like, do the left agree that that's happening, or did they say that's not happening? Because I always wonder how they get around the whole demographic argument. Are they saying that they don't think that the countries of Europe are changing demographically and that it's just a conspiracy theory? Because obviously, if they are changing demographically, then that means long term, you can see why people will be mad about demographic change, right? Someone says centrists are so dumb. I'm not a centrist. Are you a centrist by saying both of you are brainwashed? Does that make you a centrist? I don't understand how would you be in the center of something that you reject? It's like if I say, would you rather eat poop or eat vomit? And then you're like, I don't think I want either. You're like, oh, so you want to have a little bit of poop and a little bit of vomit, do you? It's like, no, I don't want either. Oh, you're just trying to be in the middle. You just want poop on Monday and vomit on Tuesday. No, I don't want poop or vomit. Thank you. Like, I would rather not have poop or vomit. They're like, oh, you're a centrist, aren't you? Have a little bit of poop. Come on, try some poop. No, I'm pretty sure I don't want poop. I can smell it. No, I don't want the poop. Oh, no. But it's because you haven't tried vomit. You've been brainwashed. You don't want to try vomit. I'm pretty sure I don't want vomit or poop. Leftists don't understand how they're trying to eliminate culture in Europe. Too many made up words to describe bullshit. Just end the government. I'm not white, I'm black. I'm telling you this from a retrospect. We even got brainwashed to see ourselves as colors. That's like the fundamental base of it. Like, yes, race is real. Yes, there's different like phenotypical traits that human beings have. But it's like, I'm black, I'm white. Now you've just made yourself diametrically opposed to each other. I'm black, I'm white. And then the yellow people are just like, hey. It's just like not included. Not fair, really, is it? They should be called grey people, just to give them somewhere on the spectrum of grayscale. Both, the answer is both. Yep. The entire two-party. See, this is the really annoying thing. I'm trying to put my projector up so I can read people's comments better, and it's like really bugging out. Anyone who is radicalized on either side. Annie Maui Wowie. I told that Maui Wowie. Annie Maui Wowie. Left is weak. Okay, hold on. Open preview projector. New window. Yes, no. Oh, I got it. I think somewhere here. Yes, we got it. We got the projector. Okay, now I can read you guys' comments better. Thank goodness. Sorry if I was ignoring anyone's comment. I was trying to sort it out. Right, okay. No one is brainwashed. We are different. We see things differently. Jesus fucking Christ. Right, let's take some guest requests. We've got 94 people in the live. This is a new live topic that we're doing. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I used to say get rid of the two-party system. Even if we did, Trump would still be in office. Would he? Who's more lockstep, the left or the right? Definitely the left. None of you are immune to propaganda. True. Tommy says both. They're both the wings of the same. The wings of the same what? Bird? You trying to say that the middle is a long-nosed beak? Don't be so anti-Semitic, brother. George says that the left immediately call the right Yahtzees for not being left-wing. Exactly. Liberals and MAGA are the most brainwashed ones. Democrats and Republicans are fine. Yeah, but Democrats and Republicans, they are the ones that are most adherent to the mainstream political system, right? Because they're basically saying Like they're like neolibs and neocons. They're basically just saying, I love it when the government tells me that something's going to change and then we just do the same shit. Are we not all human, so why be superior to one another? We're not talking about supremacy here. Anyone who thinks any politician has their back is brainwashed. I agree. It's both, unfortunately, it's the illusion of choice. They've been working on both of us. The right is driven by white supremacy and so is the left, weirdly. Oh yeah, and then you've got the people that see everything through a racial paradigm, which race is, you know, I'm torn on this. I can't tell if race is more important than I think it is or less important than I think it is. I'm really torn on it. Because for some reason, every time I disregard and discount race, things happen and I see things where I'm like, holy shit, race is like so fundamental to everything. But then every time I focus on race, I'm like, I feel like I'm just trying to project race onto this issue. So I'm actually torn. I can't figure out whether like race really is the core of everything. Like I read a lot of different content. I read like Yahtzee content. I read left-wing content. Like there's a book I read called 88 Precepts. I don't know if you're a YT supremacist, you'll probably know what that is if you're actually into the whole thing. And that book was fucking amazing. It was written by an actual YT supremacist called 88 Precepts. There's another book I've read by someone that's not a YT supremacist, who's called W.E.B. Du Bois. It's called, I think it's called On the Separation of Races or something like that. And when I read content like that, I'm like, holy shit, race is really important. It's the fundamental basis of everything. But then I start analyzing issues and I'm like, I don't understand how race got involved in this issue. Like the George Floyd thing, I'm just like, how did this become about race? But anyways, let's continue with the comments. Race and culture is a good thing. Comparing them and making life revolve around it is bad. Okay. People say America is racist, then you'll go to Japan and there's still Japanese only stores. You can't come into this store, you white boy. Sorry, no, this store, we don't accept white people. That was a bad Japanese accent. That was more Chinese, right? No, sorry, sir. We cannot accept the white people in this store. That was a better one. Sorry, sir. No, in Japan, we do not accept the white people in this store. White people in this store. And the Buraku people. Beach Please says left and right both brainwashed by the same bird. What's the bird? What's the bird? What's the bird? Reddish says race is only relevant to this stuff because the system is inherently based on race. So this is the thing. Is the system really inherently based on race? Because if you go back into history, clearly the people that created these systems, like the UK, the USA, they clearly, and I'm not trying to be a leftist here, this is objective reality. The people that built America basically wanted to create a European-centric ethno-state. They said that they wanted to do that. They said, this is going to be a place for Europeans to come, and basically we'll have our free white... They wanted a white ethno-state. How do we know this? We know this because there was actually Supreme Court judgments that overrode this. So they've determined in the Supreme Court that basically what makes you an American is not your race. Which means prior to that, that was a thing where they actually were saying you can't be an American unless you're a white European. This is what they said. It's not me saying this. This is what they said. So to say that the system's not based on race is kind of disingenuous because the people that created America, the people that, you know, went to war with the Mexicans, the people that went to war with the Native Americans, they viewed themselves as white nationalists, right? But obviously somewhere along the line, they developed into something new, which has ultimately become incredible, which is obviously America and this concept of, I guess, a free republic where different people can live. But then now we're kind of moving towards later stages of that, where you're kind of seeing problems that arise as a result of multiculturalism. However, that being said, to the people that say multiculturalism has failed, multiculturalism is inherently bad, that's also not true because there's many cultures and countries in the world that are multicultural and I guess they're just fine in terms of they may not have great economies, they may have crime and stuff, but they get on with the other cultures. So it's not that multiculturalism is inherently bad, but you're starting to see issues with it in, I guess, European nations and in America. The left is mental and brainwashed. Okay, but like I said, both are brainwashed. Okay, the left has stooped to terrorist antics and levels that they aren't coming back from. If you describe terrorist antics as like deplatforming, you know, straw manning people's arguments, being more radical in their ideology, then yes. I don't think that they're literally like domestic terrorists. Like what that was, it Kirsty Noem? Who's the woman that tried to say that the woman that got run over was a domestic terrorist? That was absolutely ridiculous. She should be ashamed of herself. Rainey says the middle ground is not the correct option. Centrists always enable fascism. So this is what I mean. Like that Rainey person, that would be, I would say, an example of someone who's extremely brainwashed on the left. They're like, if you're a so-called centrist, you are enabling fascism. Like, to get to that opinion, you have to be really far gone mentally. That's basically the most ignorant position you can take, is anyone who is neutral is bad. You can't really get more extreme than that. Like, someone who chooses to not buy into what's going on is inherently bad. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, Rainey. You Mad Bro says, how do you like Democrat? Don't like police, say they want to feed the police. Sorry, I don't understand that comment. Why illegal immigrants get the 5-star... Oh God, there's too many comments going. Someone said, why do illegal immigrants get the 5-star? I'm assuming they're going to say something like 5-star treatment and the people in the country don't. That's not true. And see, this is something that the right is brainwashed about. They seem to think that illegal immigrants come and then they just get like a PS4 and like a fucking Prada bag. Like, that's not happening, bro. They're getting like a really small amount of money, living in bummy ass hotels. Sorry, I could hear kids and I was like, oh, there's my kids, but my kids are not here right now. Okay, anyway. Yeah, like, the right are like, oh yeah, they're putting illegal immigrants in 5-star hotels. Like, yeah, they're living off like £100 a fucking month. Like, do you want that? Like, what the hell? They're like, they seek asylum. If you're mad, you have to be mad at the asylum system. The asylum system. Guys, tap the screen to like the live. Let's try and boost ourselves in the algorithm. Who's more brainwashed? Is that sarcasm or a real question? I mean, you can clearly see that there's contention in the chat with regards to who's more brainwashed. It's a very valid question. Okay, we're getting a lot of comments and we've got a lot of guest requesters. So I'm going to try and bring up some guest requesters so we can have a good conversation. But remember to tap the screen to like the live, guys. What's up, Kimberly?
Good morning.
Good morning, darling.
So I'm from America, and I was just wondering if you had a second to talk about the differences between the UK and America.
I have more than a second to talk about that.
Okay, so from your perspective, tell me what you see happening in the US.
What I see happening in the US with regards to what?
How we treat incoming illegal immigrants.
Oh,
I guess.
So the thing is, obviously, like I always say, borders are not real. Yeah, borders aren't real. But if you want to have a secure nation that people agree in that landmass, we want a secure nation, we want to be living on this landmass with laws and stuff, then you have to have some kind of border controls, right? Now, if somebody goes against that concept, it stands to reason that the state has to intervene to stop them going against that concept of having a border, like, right? Now, the problem is if people got away with going against that concept by coming into the country illegally, if you don't get rid of them, there's no incentive to stop other people doing that. So it makes sense then that you need some kind of way of removing the people that entered the country illegally. And so I don't see what is wrong with having an agency that's in charge of customs and immigration enforcement that removes people that are in the country illegally. What I do see, though, is that the media is lying to people about what's really happening and sensationalizing cases to make people think that they're just going around picking people up because they got brown skin, which is obviously not what's happening.
Right, you're correct. You're absolutely correct in that. And the thing about how most Americans feel is at this point, we're not trying to get rid of races or, people who we just think have brown skin. That's not what this is about. It's about people who have come in illegally, who are taking up valuable resources for Americans who are really suffering at this point. And I think that's the basis of what Trump is trying to get to the bottom of.
However, to play devil's advocate, let's just do a little thought experiment. If there was no such thing as a border, then technically the primary difference between an American and a Mexican would be that they're from a different culture and they look different, right? That would be the main difference. Right. Oh, you gone quiet, darling. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're right.
So that's why the left thinks that it's about race, because they're like, they see no fundamental difference between a Mexican and an American. But the problem is that they're being hypocritical, because they're simultaneously saying we want to live in a secure nation with a border, but then saying you shouldn't enforce immigrations and customs against people that go against that. So that's where the hypocrisy lies. But I don't think that they're inherently wrong by saying that race has something to do with it, because ultimately the main difference between historically the main difference between an American and a Mexican is their race. And that's why when you had like the Mexican-American War, they didn't have to say what uniform are you wearing, because they're like, you guys are Mexicans, we can see like, we can see that you're Mexicans.
Right. You're absolutely right. But today, in today's environment, what we're dealing with is not just people crossing over illegally who are from, South America, who are Mexican or Ecuadorian. What we're having a problem with is it's not just them, it's people from China, and it's different people who are here on what they call HB1 visas.
What you got against the Chinese, man? You got something against China?
Who come in and try to set up, systems that end up scamming America out of millions of dollars, which we feel like that's counterintuitive to what we're trying to do.
Wait, how are they scamming Americans? Like if the American government creates a system that allows people to come in to the country, whether it's asylum or any other system, how does that make the person that takes advantage of that system scamming the system?
Okay, there's a very good example going on right now in the state of California.
Right.
There have been a multitude of people who've come in and set up these fake entities who say that they're here to help people with health care and, their health care needs. But when you go to these offices where you can get this help, they're empty buildings. And what these people are doing is setting up these so-called help and pocketing money, making up fake people, and billing the government saying, yeah, we're helping all these people, when in actuality, they're not helping anybody.
Is it, okay, again, kind of devil's advocate, how can it be a scam if they're getting legitimate government contracts and the government are supposed to regulate the people that are receiving that money? And like for example, let me give you a perfect example, right? Let's say I run like a pharma company and I make a drug, right? And the studies show, the drug helps people. And then I give the drug, I start selling the drug, I get a government grant and government subsidies to sell this drug, which happens a lot, right? And then it turns out that the drug actually wasn't helping people, and I was basically just selling people a powder that was either neutral or doing them harm. Did I scam people, or did I just get money from the government and then the government allowed me to do what I said I was going to do with the money?
No, you're doing it the right way. You go in with a promise of a drug that might help people. Then you go through the FDA, and the FDA goes through those things with you through the drug and the chemistry of it.
Yeah.
And if it works, then by God, you've got a great thing going and you're making lots of money.
Right. But in the immigration example, what I'm saying is, if I was to say, I'm going to create some kind of luring center or some shit like that, some healthcare, whatever the scam you're referring to is, if I said I want to create this thing, yeah, and then people are going to be able to come to it, but then less people are coming to it than I'm saying, or less people are coming than I'm projecting, right? Obviously, the government can or the police or whatever can investigate to see if I was literally scamming people. But just me coming into the country, setting something up and getting a government grant and less people turning up than I thought would turn up, that's not necessarily me scamming people, is it?
Actually, that's exactly what's happening. They're setting up fake types of companies and telling the people, or telling the government, yes, we're doing a great job. We're doing all this. We're making these drugs. And when the FDA goes to see what they're doing, there's nothing there. And then that's how they find the scam.
But that's what this is why I brought up pharma, because that's what big pharma does, but they just have enough political lobbying power to cover up what they're doing. So the point I'm making is, whether it's a scam or not, that's kind of how America works. Like, every company's pretty much doing that shit. So the question is, why is it mainly different in your mind when, like, these immigrants are doing that shit, because that's literally what the big corporations are doing. That's what the farming industry is doing. That's what big farmers doing. They're all doing that shit.
And you know what? You are absolutely right. And that's why we're not just going after all the people who are doing it illegally. Parts of the things that the media is not talking about is we are going after all of the big pharma and slowly tearing down everything that they're doing, because we realize
No way.
they're part of the problem too.
How has Trump's State Department gone after big pharma at all?
I'm sorry, how have they what?
How has Trump's State Department gone against big pharma at all?
Well, the State Department isn't in charge of that. That's the FDA.
No, but I'm saying, how has his administration gone after big pharma?
They're going after big pharma because they have realized that they have jacked up the prices on on different kinds of medications that they say that are of highest quality, and realizing they're cutting it with different things, just kind of like, as an example, how you would cut cocaine with, baby powder or whatever, and selling them as, the premium product, and when they're really not.
If they were really going after big pharma, they would be sending police in there. Like, you see how in Minnesota they started a proper investigation and people might go to prison. Like, if they're really going after big pharma, then you would start seeing people getting arrested, right?
Yes, there are arrests. It's just not as big of a headline as it is right now because race is a very much bigger. Everybody loves to talk about race and talk about how Americans hate immigrants, and we don't. We absolutely love what they bring into America.
Some Americans
as long
hate
as everybody's
immigrants.
doing the right thing.
Some Americans hate immigrants.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean,
the black Americans call us tethers. They're like, "You tether, get out of our country."
I mean, there are some Americans who can, drown in water for all I care, because they're not what America is about. America is about freedom of choice and freedom to do what you can do to make what you can, but we expect you to do it the honest and ethical way.
Okay, here's a question, because I see this is a hypocrisy I see on the right as well. If America's about freedom of choice, yeah, why do so many people on the right not want Muslims in the country and feel that there shouldn't be Muslim call to prayer and feel that the government should regulate people coming from Muslim countries? Isn't that them being opposed to someone based on their choice of religion?
America was founded on the freedom of religion, even though it was founded on Christianity. But in our Constitution or our preamble, we actually say it is a freedom of all religions. So we have no problem with that. The problem we have is there are certain sects of Islam who are coming in and trying to create their own cities where Americans are not allowed unless you are Muslim.
Well, of course they're allowed. And if that's true, why did the Americans, when they were like spreading across America, why did they designate areas that weren't Christian as basically lands that were viable for the taking? They basically said, if Christians don't live in certain lands, then the treaties are not as valid and we can go and take those lands. That's what they did when they were colonizing America, right? So it wasn't really founded on freedom of religion in a way.
I am absolutely not denouncing what they did when they took over America. There were a bunch of bad things that happened to get to where we are. But I think Trump is really trying to rectify a whole bunch of different situations. It's just spread out over a bunch of different issues, and it's just going to take time to heal and to get back to a good working system.
How much time has he got left? He's got just under 2 years?
Yeah, we've got like two and a half years left.
He's focused on Iran. It doesn't seem like he's diverting many resources to America to fix the issues he's talking about. He's focused on Iran.
Well, yes, Iran is definitely a problem when it comes to, nuclear war. But
really,
It really is supposed to only last for the next week and a half. And we've got a lot of new people on board who are willing to help make sure that happens. And once it's done, it's done. We just want the Iranian people to go back to being able to be what they want to be and who they are without being led by a dictatorship. The same with Cuba, the same with Venezuela.
Yeah, I kind of get you, but like, do you not think that the fact that the US has been sanctioning these countries for like 30, 40 years has also like played a role in their economic situation?
Yes, it has. And I think that that's horrible. But I think that the way that we're going to go about it now is by when we confiscate oil and we send it back, it's actually going to the people who need it, not to the governments who used to be there. So this should make Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran very, very wealthy countries because they're going to have their products back that they can actually sell.
And if that's the case, are you saying that it was necessary for the USA to intervene in order for that to happen? Because it seems like it's more.
I honestly do, because freedom is not just for America or the UK. Freedom is for everybody. Everybody should be able to live in a safe environment. And when you have dictatorships who overrun that and take all the goods, it starves their people, and that's not right.
So
it's a human rights issue.
So you kind of agree with America operating as the de facto world police? Come on, you gotta say yeah, because that's what you basically said, right?
Yeah, to a point, yes, you're right. Because we believe in freedom for every human on this earth.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your perspective, guys. We've got 10,000 likes. Please keep tapping the screen. I appreciate all the support. Kimberly, I appreciate you coming on. I'm just going to put another guest on. Guys, we're live on YouTube right now. You can watch us on YouTube at State of Deception. That's the YouTube channel. Thanks, Kimberly. I appreciate you, Doc.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, who we got next? Before we get someone else on, guys, I'm going to need you to run up the likes. We're going to need to get to 15k likes. Send gifts, whatever you want to do if you support the live. If you disagree with me, I don't really care. I haven't really made any points anyway. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Let's get to some of the comments. Damn, these comments are coming fast. She want Americans dead in unknown lands. Yeah, that's going to be an inevitable consequence of foreign intervention as well, right? Is American citizen going to die? You guys okay with that? Oh, Jesus, I can't even read these. It's going too fast. Rockefeller Rothschild, okay. Both are brainwashed. Lol, the elites laugh at us on about left and right. We're separated and they're chilling. Well, the thing is, I look at this more, these lives like this and conversations like this, more as putting the issue on the table in order to get to some kind of synthesis. If you notice, I'm not shilling for the right and I'm not shilling for the left. I'm not saying we should be divided between right and left. I'm trying to get people to critically analyze their positions. Okay, MAGA is brainwashed, not the true left or right. Okay. Brother, do you think religion should be abolished? I don't know how we would abolish religion. I'm not religious, and I think that religion is more than just people's spiritual beliefs. It seems that people have religious fervor for politics. They have religious fervor for the medical institution. They have religious fervor for racial politics. Religion isn't just what someone believes about God and how the world was created. People have religious ways of thinking, doctrinal and dogmatic ways of thinking. That's what I'm against. I think people should be critical thinkers. If you're a critical thinker and you believe in Jesus Christ, or you believe in Muhammad, or you believe in what's the Buddha guy? Is his name just Buddha, or has he got a longer name? That's a short name. He should have. I think he has a longer name, right? He needs a longer name because he needs to like have a name that's just as long as Muhammad and Jesus Christ. Buddha. That's too short. That's like a nickname. So yeah, if that's your dude, cool. But my whole thing is people should critically analyze their beliefs. Scuncher says technically the right. I think that's where MAGA started, right? Are MAGA really like? I guess MAGA's on the right. I don't want to get into the whole semantic thing about what's right and what's left. Yeah, if MAGA's on the right, then I guess MAGA would be. Yeah, that would be right wing, I suppose. From a humanistic perspective, do you really need a book to dictate how you live? No, you don't. And obviously religions were created by human beings. That's just facts. And even if they weren't, there's no way of you knowing whether they were or not because you were given them by a human being. The vaccine made people crazy in there. Why are you talking on American politics? Well, an American just came up, dummy. I didn't even mention America this live. So if we're talking about right and left, we're obviously going to be talking about things happening on the cultural world stage. which America is basically the center of the world stage for the purposes of the left-right paradigm, I guess. Busy Frizzy says, I think the lefties are weak people. The Great British Empire wasn't built on lefties' ideology. Well, they were liberal, weren't they? Who was that John Locke guy? Didn't he come from Britain? He was a liberal. Or I guess a different kind of liberal, because liberals are different now, aren't they? Destiny says, radical right and radical left are both brainwashed. Americans need to start being human and save us. Yeah, but it seems like people can't even agree what is radical and what isn't. David says men can't become women. Are there people that actually... I feel like the people that say that stuff, I don't think they actually believe it. I think that they're just trying to be like, oh, we want to be empathetic to people that think different things. I don't think they actually think men can become women. If they do think that, then obviously they need to seek help. But I think what they're saying is we should pretend that they are to make them happy. That's kind of their point, isn't it? What a weak ass debate. Lemaire, everyone is brainwashed. Fuck off then if it's a weak ass debate. I think both are gutless and stand for nothing. Okay, it's called dependent personality disorder, and the No Kings Day is just an example of that. Maybe the people that were protesting on No King's Day felt that there was some kind of government overreach because they have like a federal agency that is potentially violating the Fourth Amendment. Not saying they are, I'm saying maybe that was the reason behind it. Funnily enough, when you look at the people that go to protests in general, they tend to be people that are dissatisfied with their own lives, whatever kind of protest you're talking about. So I don't go to protests. Okay, let's get someone else on. Zilla Town says, I love that everyone's waking up. Yeah, people are kind of waking up, right? I'm trying to bring people on, but it's taking a while to accept. Okay. I'll just keep pressing accept until someone comes on. What's up, D?
How's it going, bro?
I'm good, man.
I think so. You want to like define brainwash first?
Yeah, I'd say brainwashed. Brainwashed is when something else or some other force has put your opinions and perspectives into your mind, and you didn't reach those opinions and perspectives through deductive reasoning or critically analyzing your position and then iteratively developing it.
All right. I agree. Me personally, I definitely fall more right leaning. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm definitely more right leaning. I think it's to the left because on the right, you just have more variety of thoughts. Like on the right, you can still be like, hey, I'm right wing, I'm gay, and people gonna give you like, oh, you're gay. You know, I'm not really cool with that, but all right, you're gay. They kind of just don't care. Yeah, you're going to have homophobes, but they're everywhere at the end of the day. They're on the right and the left, whether the left wants to admit it or not. In the left, I feel like you can't have a diversity of thought on like different policies. Like if you're in like a left wing crowd and you're like, hey, I'm not cool with abortion, you're going to get struck down. They're going to try to kick you out the group. You kind of got to be cool with every single one of their things. With the entire policy list, or you're not part. They try to kick you out.
So you're saying the left are more intolerant of different perspectives.
Yeah, which to me that seems more brainwashy. Like there's been studies on it where like the right has way more variety of thought lines than the left.
Well, I don't know, because when you say that they're not intolerant, would you be like, for example, are you tolerant of? Like, are you against abortion?
Yeah, like I'm against abortion. Like, if you get an abortion and you're asking me about it, I'm gonna be like, hey, I don't agree with that. But at the end of the day,
I get
that's not nothing to do with me.
I get what you're saying, but think about it like this: if there was a vote on abortion, you would vote against it, right?
It depends. See, how I see it is, I wouldn't vote against it.
Oh, okay.
I personally, I wouldn't vote against it because at the end of the day, it's their body, their choice.
Okay.
But do I think it should be demonized in society? Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but hear me out. Okay, even if we take that point, let's say it's demonized in society, right? The people on the left, they feel like that's intolerant because your position, let's say that there was a vote and most people voted against abortion. They feel that that's intolerant because they're like, now I can't do what I wanted to do. So they're saying your decision affects them, thereby making it intolerant. Do you get what I'm saying? The same way that kicking someone out of a group for a different opinion is intolerance. They're saying that you're intolerant because you're making decisions that affect what they want to do. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But like I'm allowed to have like a different position. Like on the right, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of less strict on gun control. Like, all right, if they want to ban certain types, as long as it makes common sense and it's like, and the lawmakers can actually describe what they're talking about, I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I'm kind of more leaning left on that issue. Like, I go to like my local city council meetings and stuff, and I talk. But like the right wing guys, they're never like, oh, you can't, you're not one of us. They're like, we just disagree. On the left, if you go over to the left and you're like, I don't think we should be having drag shows for kids, all of a sudden you're a homophobe.
Well, I guess they look at it like what's inherently wrong about drag shows of kids. That's what they think, right?
Yeah, they can think that, but then they also try to exclude you from the group because I've seen it happen multiple times. Because you'll even get like gay guys on like on TikTok. They'll have like a right wing opinion, and you'll see them actively get pushing out those left wing LGBTQ communities. Because they're like, oh, you're not. I don't want to use woke. Woke is kind of stupid. It's a stupid term. I don't like it. But you don't agree with us enough.
The thing is, you have to be intellectually honest. Like I think a lot of people on the right are kind of not as intellectually honest about their positions. Because like think about it. If you're saying, let's just take the drag queens for kids stuff. Like let's say the drag queen is not being sexual or sexualizing something. By saying keep this away from children, they're basically saying you're saying that this is morally wrong. Otherwise, why would you want to keep it away from children? So the inference that the left people on the left, yeah, but the people on the left look more at the inference of what you're saying. They look at the downstream effects. They're like, if you're saying this should be kept from kids, you're inferring that it's morally wrong, and by inferring that it's morally wrong, you're making a moral judgment on us. So they're saying if you're making a moral judgment on us, then fuck you. Do you get what I mean?
I mean, I think I have a right to say it's like the same way like I want to like if the local library say we're having the strippers doing a talk with the kids. It's the same thing in my mind.
Yeah, but most 99% of people on the left and the right would agree that that's sexual. That's inherently sexual. So, are you saying that being a drag queen is an inherently sexual thing?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. They would disagree with that. So, you have to be intellectually honest with your position. Is that, in a sense, you are making a moral judgment, which is okay. I make moral judgments as well. But you can't say, why are they excluding me from the group? You're making a moral judgment on them and saying that they're inherently wrong or sexualizing children, which they're saying we're not doing that. So it's like if I accuse you, if I say to you, oh, by saying that you don't agree with abortion, it's because you want to control women's bodies. You're like, I'm not saying that. You would feel like, you're making a moral judgment on me that doesn't represent what I actually believe. So you can understand why they get annoyed in a sense, because they're basically saying you're making a moral judgment on me, and then you expect me to pretend like you're not making a moral judgment on me.
Oh no, I expect them to know I'm making a moral judgment on them.
That's why they exclude you. That's why they're going to exclude you from the group. Do you get what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're going to exclude, I feel like that's more brainwashy. To kind of get back to the point of being like, you can accept that a person in your group doesn't have like the same exact morals as you. That's kind of cultish.
But it's not just that you don't have the same morals. You're actually saying we want you to be kept away from children. Do you get it? I'm not saying I believe this.
Yeah, I would also not want guns around children. So like I don't really see the difference. It's like protect the kids.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. You're saying so like something's inherently, by saying this thing is inherently dangerous to children, you're saying that the people that believe this believe in something that's dangerous to children. So that's why they're like, oh, fuck you. Do you get it?
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate so you kind of see the...
No.
You get what I'm saying?
I'm not taking it. I'm just trying to...
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I guess you're saying, like, I'm saying that they're inherently evil or they're inherently dangerous because they're drag queens or...
right.
Or whatever.
Otherwise, you wouldn't want to keep them away from kids.
I get what you're saying, but I'm saying culturally... Like, this isn't a personal decision. This is how I see it culturally. There is still a large contingent of society that sees drag queens as an inherently sexual thing. Right. So culturally, we should generally keep them away from kids. Generally, we want to separate those two lines. Would you agree with that? That line of logic?
I see that it's... I believe that it's inherently sexual, but consider this, for example. Who are the number one group of people that are actually... dangerous to young children? It's actually males. It's actually not even drag queens. It's usually males. just in general as a category. So
What are drag queens?
no, I get what you're saying.
What are drag
No,
queens?
I agree.
Yeah.
But by that logic, if we're looking at what is likely to be dangerous to children, and we see that males in general are more likely to be a danger to children in terms of SA, etc. By that logic, then should we keep males away from children in general, like males away from the children of other people? Because I feel that we kind of should. I wouldn't want my kid babysat by a male.
Yeah, I agree. Statistically, it's close family members and close family friends are the most dangerous to your kid. That's statistically who's going to get them. It's not your local Catholic priest. It's not your school teacher. It's generally that close proximity to kid and within a trusted community.
Yeah,
I mean, your trusted circle.
yeah.
So,
but do we have?
I'm just saying.
No, I was gonna say, do we have actual data that suggests that drag queens are more dangerous to children than just than normal males?
I can look up that statistic. I can look up that statistic right now. I'm currently in my car. I'm not driving. I'm just seeing it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it on my work phone to keep it a buck. Let me look up that statistic real quick. I saw the statistic a long time ago. But that's kind of why I see the left as more brainwashy, and the right's got its own problems. I feel like the right has a lot of far right people on it trying to kind of accelerationists. That's what I like to call them. Trying to basically speed run the country into like a downturn.
Well, they're trying to push ethno-nationalism in a sense. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really my major voting concern is taxes and gun rights as an American. That's
okay. It seems like Americans in general are. I'd say most Americans are pro-gun rights, even on the left.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. I think it's because we came originally from like a violent revolution and kind of sticking it to the man. So I can see why other countries doesn't like it. And I wouldn't say America's like a dangerous place because like I grew up in the hood, so I wouldn't say America's like a more like a super dangerous place. Like I was perfectly fine. Mind your own business, and 99% of the time you're gonna be fine. But they're also just fun.
Yeah.
Like if you ever make it out here, I go to a range. It's like $200. You can shoot all you want.
Yeah. I've been to many gun ranges. Okay. Well, nice speaking to you, bro.
I got that statistic for you.
Yeah, go on. Let's hear it.
It's from the Office of UAMC Psychiatric Research Institute.
Okay.
Approximately 3/4 of them had. Well, I'm reading through it right now. It's not that one. My bad. It's the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Provision. More than 3/4 were parents. 52. This is just maltreatment of children. So 52% were women. 47% was white. 39% was between ages of 25 to 54.
I was more talking about being an SEAL threat.
Potentially assault.
Yeah, to children.
This is from. This is a quick.
Because it's overwhelmingly males that are convicted of SA. The only question I had was, are drag queens more likely to be convicted of SA against a child than a normal male? And I don't know if they are or not. But if they are, then yeah, that would be evidence to suggest, yeah, okay, we should look at this. But what I'm trying to say is people on the left are saying that if you can't provide any evidence that they're more dangerous than any other male, then why should they be kept from kids? That's, I guess, what they're saying.
My big thing isn't even about childhood. They're culturally inherently sexual, and I just don't want culturally inherently sexual things around my kids. It's that simple.
You're saying a man dressing up. You're saying a man dressing up like a woman is an inherently sexual thing?
Yes, culturally inherently sexual.
Okay, I think some people would disagree, but I take your point.
They could, yeah.
I take your point. All right, well, nice speaking to you, anyways.
Yeah, nice speaking to you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
We're having a good time, guys. I'm really disappointed because I'm like, we're at 12.3k likes, but we've got 100 people in the live, guys. Come on, tap the screen to like the live. Tap it. Or I'm gonna get angry. Right? I'm gonna get angry if you don't tap the screen. Tap the fucking screen, right? My dog is cuter than yours. Okay, let's let you on. My dog is cuter than yours. I want to hear what you got to say. What's up, bro? What's
my God, it's time. I'm here. I finally made it.
You made it, yes. Nice to see you.
I've made it. Hello. What's going on? So, my biggest thing, I think that both sides inherently, like, we're talking about brainwashing in the sense of, like, denying facts or sticking to beliefs rather than, like measurable information. I think everybody's brainwashed. I think it has more to do with class than race or party affiliations. I think billionaires of every race and creed get along with each other just fine, but they don't get along with any poor people of the same race, religion, sexual orientation as them. I think it all comes down to class.
Does Trump get along with George Soros?
Probably not, but I think that has more to
Come
do
on,
with
bruh.
his personality as a person.
I don't think billionaires all get along with each other.
I mean, yeah, that was probably too generalized of a statement, but I think they are more likely to have common interests and goals because, I mean, their goals all come back to increasing that high score of bank account numbers. But, like, the biggest thing that I wanted to touch up on that the lady said earlier was talking like ICE in America and like the roles that plays. I think that was horribly misrepresented. I think, like, so I live in Minnesota. I'm at ground zero for a lot of this ICE stuff. I literally see it in my home every day, like literally every day. I think it has a lot to do with race. Like, I know it has a lot to do with race because there's no reason that Native American kids who have, like, so if you don't know, Native, like, people have cards to show that they're Native Americans in the United States, so they can go to things like reservations and stuff.
Yeah.
So there have been dozens of cases of Native people being detained by ICE and showing them their documentation that shows that they're Native Americans, and they're still being detained. They're not being detained because they think they're Hispanic. It's because they're brown. It is because the skin on them is darker than the average white United States citizen.
But there are also white people that get detained by ICE, right?
Yeah, and like there totally is. But they are statistically way less likely to make it to a detainment center and to be held in that same detainment center for a long period of time.
Don't you think
statistically?
Don't you think that's because statistically people who are illegal immigrants are less likely to be white?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That is definitely a factor.
So that statistic doesn't prove that they're targeting non-whites. It could prove that non-whites are more likely to be illegal immigrants. Yeah. Like, I think it doesn't necessarily. It's not direct proof of that. I think it's more evidence than proof. But I think that combined with a lot of the things we see in our media every day can be compiled together as proof. If that made any sense. That was a lot of gibberish. So what do you think the purpose of ICE targeting non-whites is, or do you think that it's just a subconscious bias?
Yeah, I personally think that it is the directive of half of our country. I mean, like, when we look at like slavery, right? Slavery was not that long ago. Do you know when the last slave in America was freed?
I mean, there's probably someone enslaved in America right now.
I mean, yeah, and you totally can validly make that point that slavery still exists in America in our prison systems. But
not in the prison system. There's probably some Indian dude with like a house girl, or like some Nigerian woman with like a house. Like, slavery still exists.
Yeah, and like as far as we look at it officially, or as we recognize it, the last slave was quote unquote freed in 1973. So like when people, I think the biggest problem is people think like, oh, slavery was the problem of like my great grandparents, and it's like, no, it could have been your grandparents or your great grandparents. Like the generational divide isn't as big as we think it is. We think it's all these old people that are dying off, but it's very young and prevalent in America.
But what point are you trying to make by bringing up slavery?
So the biggest thing is that mindset is still rooted in our country. Like, what I was saying was like, we think it's generationally gone. Like, it's dying out with the last of our generations, but it's not. It's still being taught to kids and to young adults who are coming up in our country. Like, do you know what PragerU is?
Yeah.
So there was that video that went decently viral a while back where a course that was being taught in the Texas school system was about a a PragerU video where a animated version of Frederick Douglass said that it is better to live as a slave than to die.
Wait. So let me look this up. So PragerU, Frederick
Frederick Douglass.
Douglass. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can put this on for the YouTube viewers, guys. If you watch on YouTube, you can get a viewing experience where you can see the stuff that I see on my screen. So you just say that again for me, bro, so that
So the quote from PragerU is that they had Frederick Douglass say that it is better to live as a slave than to die, which is like literally the exact opposite of anyone who has ever spoken about slavery from that time period.
Wait, so you're saying he didn't say that, but the Texas University made a video saying that he did say that?
The university didn't, but PragerU as an organization did, yeah.
Okay,
and it's
because
being taught in.
I think I've found the actual video, so I'm just going to quickly watch the video and see what you're
go for
talking about. And if you guys want to see what I'm seeing on my screen, just head over to my YouTube, State of Deception. Okay, let's see what it says.
That's right, Bob. Despite some violence and destruction by some of our angrier activists, we're seeing mostly peaceful protests.
Protesters are demanding that the police be abolished.
Well, Clint, these local activists want to abolish the police. They're claiming
Bueller and Matt, you got it.
I'm the most famous activist in America, and I'm currently working on getting something abolished.
Abolish means to end, right? What are you wanting to get rid of?
I want slavery to end. At this time that you have come to visit, for half time.
I don't know if I'm watching the right video. So, okay, let's look at the news article. That'll be better.
Yeah, they'll.
Okay, because I don't think I have time to watch the whole video. So it says, animated Frederick Douglass calls slavery a compromise in conservative group's video. PragerU, a right-wing advocacy group, has made its way to the classroom with kids. Videos deemed misleading. Slavery was a compromise. The Black Lives Matter movement led to more crime. Masculinity helped win World War II. These are some lessons included in PragerU's kids videos. I don't understand. So, what's wrong about what he said is wrong that he said slavery was a compromise?
No, so the quote that I'm talking about, the exact quote of it is he said that it's better to live as a slave than to die, and that's in reference to that specific context is talking about the amount of slaves that would jump from ships and drown rather than be brought to America during like the North American slave trade. But
okay. So do you disagree with that?
My point, yeah, and my point of that is like that's not something that was ever said, and the actual quote that's being derived from is the exact opposite. It is better to die. The quote is, "It's better to die a free man than to live a life as a slave."
Okay, I get what you're saying. So just to go back to your original point, you're saying because people still have these misconceptions and attitudes about slavery and race, you're saying that manifests as organizations like ICE targeting people based on race?
Yeah, and subconscious or conscious, I think there is a clear bias, like a provable and definitive bias that people are, again, like either consciously or subconsciously being targeted based on skin color, not based on like where they're actually geographically from in the world. It is just race. So like for me in Minnesota, this is for all intents and purposes land of the white people. This is where they make white people. They got the factories that pump them out like down the street. We have such a low minority population that the main focus for ICE in our state has been in the cities because that's where our Somalian population is. And again, outside of the cities, we have almost a non-existent minority population. Our heaviest minority population in my state is Native Americans. And Native American kids have been caught up in so many ICE raids. And again, they all carry identification and documentation that prove that their people are more from North America than everyone else in the United States. Like they're literally the last group of people that should ever be accused of not being from here. And absolutely crazy to me.
If ICE was targeting white people more than non-whites, then wouldn't that not make sense?
It would also be bad. Yeah,
Okay.
like I think it's negative regardless. I don't
It,
think
it,
there
it
is
almost seems it almost seems like there's no way of really knowing whether they're targeting people based on race. You'd have to get into the head of the person to know.
Yeah, and it's a really hard issue because I mean, like the whole premise of illegal immigration is we have no documentation or way to keep track of these people. It's a super complex issue. Like there's almost no way to go about it where there are not going to be mistakes made where people are discriminated against.
So you agree?
And-
you agree with what? You agree with the idea behind what ICE is doing, but you think that they're influenced by influenced by racial bias.
Yeah, I'd be stupid to think like, yeah, there has to be a legal form. Like there has to be a legal form of everything. You know, like we can't just take in millions of people. Like if we say have enough food to last 1,000 people a year, we can't bring in 1,000 more people because then we just cut it in half. Like there has to be a system in place, but I think this system is so unfoundedly broken that the fact that it's still a thing is actually it should be a crime. It legitimately should be a crime.
If people weren't coming across the border illegally, then the issue wouldn't really exist, would it?
Yeah, and like I think solution I'm more of a centralist than left or right. Like there are a plethora of things that I disagree with like the current administration. I think people were a little too sensitive about having like a border wall. There's nothing wrong with having a border wall. I think most countries should have it.
Okay, I think I can agree with you. I think it's possible and probably likely that ICE agents are just as influenced by racial bias as everybody else. So, I think I don't really see why they would be less influenced. It does seem though that the leads that they get, as someone commented, it does seem that the leads that they get are not just based on looking at someone. They tend to have intel on people that are overstay their visas or not in the country. They may get things wrong or accidentally detain or arrest the wrong people, but I don't think that it's fair to make the generalization that that's overall what they're doing. It probably does happen, but I don't think it happens as much as people think.
Yeah, to say like they're only going after just like any brown person they can find is disingenuous. But like I think it's also equally disingenuous to say that there is not a percentage of them that isn't doing that. And like so like recently, a couple of months ago, there were ICE raids in my area and they reported on it. They caught people that they suspected of being drug dealers. And they did catch those people, but they also happened to sweep up families that were not committing, other than being an illegal immigrant, they weren't committing any further crimes than that. And I think like the biggest thing that's a source of tension right now is like the administration will come down and tell us like, hey, we are only going after the worst of the worst, and that's what we're going to stick to. But the problem with that is it's not realistic, because when you go in, if you, as a law enforcement officer, if you find a drug dealer, but you also find 5 other people that are illegal immigrants, you're bound by your duty because they are illegal to take them. And I think that happens a lot more than people on the left are willing to say. But not to say that people on the right or like ICE agents are going after people indiscriminately. But I think it doesn't happen as much as we want to say, because it's a lot easier to say like, hey, they're being bad, they're the bad guy, let's be mad at them. And that's so much easier to do than to say it's nuanced and there's a gray area to it.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, bro. I hear what you're saying. Nice speaking to you.
Yeah, of course. Dude, thanks for talking.
All right, take care. So that guy was kind of, I guess he was level-headed. He's kind of like in the middle on it. But he was basically saying that he thinks that ICE's perspective is influenced by racial bias, just as everyone's is, because of the legacy of American history and how race interacts with that legacy. I don't think that's a bad point to make. I think anybody who thinks that no one has racial biases is pretty deluded. But I don't know why the rhetoric is directed primarily at ICE. It seems like everybody has racial biases: white people, black people, yellow people, brown people, green people. So I don't know what the point of bringing up the racial bias of ICE is if everybody has racial bias. Anyway, let's get another guest on. Guys, remember to tap the screen. We're almost at 15k. I'd really appreciate getting up to 20k if you guys would be so kind as to tap the live. Scream. What's up? Mangled Bobcat. Mangled Bobcat.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In the whole brainwash aspects, it's happening on both sides. But the problem is that one side refuses to acknowledge it, and the other side's, if you can point it out to them to a certain degree, then they will see it.
And which side?
Now this is on both sides, but you tend to see it more happen on the left side, because if you just say that a unnamed politician was doing horrible things to a young person, so on the left side, on the right side, they both say that it's terrible things, but if you reveal that that politician is on their side, the right side would be more willing to call them out on it, call out that politician for what they're doing, but the left side will say, well, I don't believe you.
And what makes you believe that?
Well, I'm actually a born Californian, but I've lived in the state of New Mexico and I lived in the state of Texas. I met hundreds of people. And believe it or not, black people have the capacity to be racist because I knew one in Texas.
Yeah, no shit. Anyone who thinks that black people can't be racist is an idiot.
Yes. So, and I've also, the best way for me to describe a lot of these modern day liberals is self-righteous narcissists. They believe they're doing the right thing when not really. And sadly enough, just talking to them, it's like getting a massive migraine because they don't realize they're contradicting themselves about certain topics. Because when I was actually in high school, I was having a debate with someone about basically the terrorist organization overseas, ISIS. And this person decided to chime in and call me racist because my stance was I don't like ISIS.
What do you think about this? I don't know what your name is. The black girl that just joined.
And I was talking to another Muslim who also did not like the ISIS terrorist organization.
What do you think about this? The black girl that just joined.
I think
was
the
it
left
not to me or her?
I think the left is a bit more brainwashed than the right.
Oh, I assume that you'd be on the left because you're a black girl.
I agree with like a lot of the left's like ideology, but I think it's all like words. So like I do agree with what they say, but that's like the bottom line is that's all that they say. They don't really do.
Oh,
which I think is way more harmful.
You think they're just like paying lip service?
I think it's more harmful to preach like this, like we have this acceptance of like black, trans, LGBTQIA plus people. I think it's way more harmful to say that you have this acceptance of these types of people. Not those types of people because that sounds wrong, but like, you know, like minorities. And then when it comes down to it, you're unwilling to learn your own racial biases, your own homophobia, your own sexism, misogyny. You're unwilling to unlearn that because you feel like you've done the work just because you said you're a leftist.
But what are they supposed to actually do that you want them to do?
Unlearn like their misogyny, sexism, racism, homophobia. Like you're supposed to actually unlearn that.
Mangled, have you done the work to unlearn your racism, sexism, misogyny, and homophobia?
Yeah, and it's been a painful rush, and mainly because it's been a fiscal lesson.
Because that's the thing.
Believe it or not, I'll admit this, I was a mama's boy. So I thought my mom could do no wrong. But I also see my mom kick a lot of people's asses.
But that's what I mean, is like that, like you always like use this excuse of like, well, yeah, because I grew up with my mom like this, and then like the conversation gets like redirected into, yeah, I'm better because I recognize that my mom like hurt me or something, you know. But that doesn't make you like helpful in an actual situation. Like I wouldn't want someone coming up running like this is the thing with leftists, is like their whole thing is of like being like, well, yeah, like I have a black friend, or I know black people, or like, you know, that kind of thing. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, but what do you actually want them to do?
Yes.
What do I want them to do?
Yeah.
I think treat people not equally, but with like equity. Like I think if you're gonna like, because I see like a lot of like leftist lies, and I think if you're gonna spit out all of these like facts and statistics, you have to actually use them in your real life. You can't just use them to debate people on the right. You know, that's kind of inauthentic.
Oh, so you think the left are just disingenuous?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Mangold, final thoughts?
No.
Yeah, it's more of how they tend to react if you are to call them out on something. Because I'm a mixed race person. I'm half black, half white. Believe it or not, my dad's black, my mom's white. But I spent more time with my black side of the family. So I had certain insights upon, to put it simply, I'm not going to say the word because I don't want to get your channel in trouble or anything like that, so I'm going to use a different one. Ignorance. If you actually talk to a black person about ignorance, you're gonna get two responses, which will show you how they've lived their lives. Whereas ones who are ignorant, they will make excuses to justify what they're doing, while the ones who aren't ignorant, they will typically share the same views as you when it comes to criticizing them.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening in the black community more often than people are willing to admit, is the ignification of the black community. Because black people are not all ignorant, but yet they're being treated like ignorant because them being mixed in with this same group, because that same group is more shown.
Yeah. So to
like
jump
with
off
the
that, what I've
with
realized is that
the Dallas rodeo, with the cruise lines, with all that, we see more of the ignorant side of black culture, which is now being categorized as all black culture.
Yeah, but I think my problem with the left is that they intellectualize how they make people suffer, whereas the right, you can just like, it's well known that they don't like certain people, but the left are just more like, well, you know, I have autism and I have ADHD. Like, this is the way it was before, but I think
Yes, trying to make excuses.
not even trying to make excuses, because it was before that it was like trying to make excuses, but now it's like this white supremacy thing of like pushing white people to the forefront of certain neurodivergences. It's like, if a black person with autism and a white person with autism were arguing, who would you hear from first that has autism? It would be the white person. You know? Yeah.
So you think that the leftists need to center black people more?
I don't think they need to center black people more. I think they need to decenter themselves more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you're saying that they're not really left-wing enough.
I don't think not left-wing enough, because like if you go too far left-wing, you'll just end up on the right. But I think it's more just the fact of, you can't like come to black people, or like, this is my problem with the left, is that you can't recruit black people, trans people, gay people as minorities into your space, and then, or like make it like your whole ideology about like being more accepting, and then, you know, center yourselves at the front of it. You know, I'm not saying like you need to center them more. Well, actually, I am saying that you need to center them more. But like, if that's your whole ideology, you have to act on your ideology. You can't just, you know, say that we're the party to do this, and then in reality, if you ever get called out on one thing, you are back to being like what your privilege is. you know.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. You're saying that they're basically disingenuous. Okay, I get you both. Thanks both of you for your perspective. I'm gonna drop you both down and see if we can get some other guests. I might talk a bit of shit for a while, but thanks. I appreciate both you guys.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. In fact, let's get to some of the comments because we've got quite a few comments coming in. So a lot of people have been commenting saying, "Oh, don't buy into the left, right, da 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 da." The reality is I made the live. I said left and right. People identify with both of those things. So both of the categories are categories that people feel like they represent. So why not have a conversation about it? Do I buy into it? No, I don't buy into it, as you can clearly see, because I'm willing to criticize both sides. But I do think that the prompt is interesting because, I mean, in my opinion, I do think the leftists are more brainwashed. That's just my opinion. But I think that the right wingers don't realize that they're brainwashed, even though they also are brainwashed into nationalism, brainwashed into the idea of, you know, the government being able to solve problems by creating new laws, which ultimately just gives the state more power. So, yeah, that's my take on it. But we got a lot of guest requests. So, guys, in fact, write a comment if you want to join up so that I know who actually wants to come up and speak. Someone said both are bad, government corruption. Johnny says she said a whole bunch of nothing. Ashabal says ideology, social engineering, etc. Okay. The left want more and more government. They are bootlickers. Funny, the right wingers say the left wingers are bootlickers, and the left wingers say the right wingers are bootlickers. Both of you guys are bootlickers, realistically, because you guys want more government. Like to be fair, it seems that the right want more. They want less government sometimes, but most of the right wingers also want big government. Like even if you look at something like Medicaid, most right people on the right are somewhat in favor of Medicaid. So it's like, and then they also want more powers for police. They usually support the military, so they want the government to have a lot of power. I guess if the radicals on either side want the government to have less power, I suppose. Mila wants to come up. Okay, let's see what Mila's saying. What's up, Mila? Or Mila?
Hello.
What's up?
I believe that both sides are brainwashed, but I would say that the right is more. I'm gonna use where I'm from as an example, America, but I feel like if I went to somebody who votes Democrat, so if someone who supports Kamala Harris, and I told them she does bad stuff, they would be able to be like, oh, okay, they can accept that. I asked them, like, they don't blindly follow their politicians. But if I ask somebody who's MAGA or pro-Trump, they worship him, okay? It's kind of like a bit like a cult. They would be like people I know who have tried to debate, they would like hear it, but it's not gonna process. They will still like, they just can't comprehend he's anything wrong. So yeah, that's why I would say the right is a bit more brainwashed.
I get what you're saying, but people do like just constantly accuse Trump of stuff. So I can see why it makes people defensive of him, because they accuse him of bullshit as well. So it's like, it's hard to know what he's doing and what he's not doing if you just accuse him of doing everything bad.
Well, like there's some things where there's proof to it. Okay, I can give you an example. He's weird to his daughters. He does a lot of weird stuff to his like he makes weird comments. He's in the Epstein files. If you tell them that, they won't believe it. They would just they just act so deluded. It's annoying.
What is it?
Okay.
What does it say that he did in the Epstein files?
I think he touched like a 13-year-old. I'm not too sure, but personally, I feel like
Wait. See, this is what I'm saying. So, can you see why people are defensive of him, where you make loose, unsubstantiated allegations about him? You can't just throw that out there. Oh, I think he touched a 13-year-old. Like, that's not... That's a big deal if he did that. So, you'd need some kind of proof to back up that allegation. No, yes, no. You got muted. I don't know why she's gone quiet. Labito Jones says, in the files there was a complaint about him doing so. Okay. Oh, she's dropped down. Kamala didn't win because one policy... wait, hold on. Kamala didn't win because one policy they didn't like and people revert back to their privilege. Okay. Now that 13-year-old is a real story. Look it up. Internet has the answers. Okay. Trump, 13-year-old. Withheld Epstein files with accusations against Trump released by Justice Department. Unsubstantiated claims of SA against Trump has been released as part of the U.S. Department of Justice. Okay. DOJ said it mistakenly withheld the files during its review process. Okay, so what is the allegation? The woman accused both men of SAing her when she was between 13 and 15 years old. Okay, so it's an allegation that Trump SA'd someone who's between 13 and 15 years old. Well, hopefully they investigate it. I hope they prove it if it did happen. It's hard to know what happened and what didn't happen, isn't it? Remember when Biden's niece put in her book about being forced to take baths with him, no one cared? Did that actually happen? Civi said she got paid out by the estate. Oh, did she? The left, no doubt, they support people that would throw them off buildings. That's pretty true, actually. Smile You're Alone says the left for sure. However, I think it's more of a way to keep all of us divided. D-Bubba says the blacks. The blacks. For sure, the left just look at them. What purpose could this actually serve? Let's all go outside. I will be going outside in a bit. I'm going to go play football with my kids in when they come back. 20, 30 minutes probably. I don't understand why people who are browsing TikTok come on the live and be like, why are you on TikTok? Why are you on TikTok, motherfucker? Like, I just joined your live to watch you on TikTok and ask you why you're on TikTok. That make it make sense. I just got off work from working overnight. Go to sleep then. We all need to touch some grass. No, why are you making a live to incite people? You spelled incite wrong, dumbass. People defend Obama the way they defend Trump, but people aren't ready for that conversation. Kind of. Wishy Washy says, can you think of 5 top things where the right and left can align and 5 where they should? I think you meant shouldn't. I'll say 5 where they should align. Okay. I think, this is going to be a wild take. I think that the right and left should align on reparations. Because I think that if, it doesn't have to be monetary, but I think that if there is acknowledged reparations for slavery, then no one will be able to bring up slavery again. Because it's like, we gave you your reparations. So I'm not saying that anybody deserves it or that one country is more, should do it or shouldn't do it. I'm just saying, I think that if the right and left just align on that, it just completely neutralizes that conversation for a relatively long amount of time. Right? So I think that they should align on that. I also think that the right and left could align on kids being taught about guns in school, because the left wants more gun education and people to who have access to guns to be more responsible gun owners, and the right wants people to have access to guns. So I think that in public school, they should teach kids about guns and gun safety. I think the right and left could align on that. I think the right and left could align on reducing government waste, like expenditure on things that money shouldn't really be spent on. The right and left could align on abolishing property taxes. What's that? That's 4, right? These are some pretty good ones, right? I think everybody agrees with most of this stuff, right? Abolishing property taxes, teaching about guns in school so that people can be more responsible gun owners. I guess people wouldn't agree on reparations, but I just think that's a tactical move. Like, if you just come to some agreement on reparations, then no one can ever complain about that shit anymore, which is that's a good one. And the final thing that both the right and the left can align on is death penalty for serious sex offenders. I think I've just given you 5 really good ones. Who doesn't agree with the death penalty for people who abuse children, like serious abusers? I don't understand who wouldn't agree with that. Did he just threaten the president? The right since the president is a PDF rapist. Allegedly. Say allegedly. What's up, Labito?
Hey, my mic sound okay? Sometimes the app makes it mess up.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Cool. Well, yeah, man. I think you made a lot of good points, at least off the 5 things that could align. I do think that there is a lot that we can agree on. I don't know about those 5 things in particular. like the pew-pews in school, I feel like that's just a non-starter for a lot of, I wouldn't even say a lot of the left, but if I were to ask you, let me just pick your mind for 2 seconds.
Sure.
If I were to say how many sections of the right, at least in American politics, there are, how would you divide that up? Would you say there's like 4, there's like center right, slightly further right, yada yada?
I'd say there's the white nationalists. They're clearly like a distinct group. So the white nationalists. Then I would say there's like the center right, like classical center right. Then I'd say that there's like MAGA. Then I would say that there's like libertarians who are kind of not really right, but I'd say that they fall more on the right. So maybe like 5.
I would pretty much agree with that. And if I were to say how many sections of the left do you think there are?
I'd say that there's like more classic Democrats, so classical liberals. Then I'd say that there's leftists, and then I'd say that there's communists. Maybe like 3.
Gotcha. I would pretty much say the same. I would say
and Democratic Socialists as well.
There's
so 4.
Yeah. Pretty much. I would say there's more or less the far left. You can break down the kind of center to middle left in a lot of different ways. And then there's like, I would say liberals, Democrats, far left is how I look at most of it when I talk to people.
Okay.
And I think the issue with it is that on the left side, right, at least now within the last 10 years, when it comes to passing policy, like the ones you mentioned, the 3 sections of the left that I kind of think about will not agree on any of those things in a lot of ways. They will be very specific on how they do it. The far left will never say it's good enough. The Democrats will pretty much do what the Republicans want to do for a lot of centrist things, but style it different. And then the liberals, right, will be really picky and choosing about which one, like if the Democrats put all 5 of those policies forward, you get like maybe 10% of the liberals would vote for yes on one and then 40 on the next one and so on and so forth. With the right now, I feel like it is that 1/5, the far right section that want to radically change the scope, who will maybe argue, and then the other 4 will absolutely do whatever it is, so long as the Trump administration is the one packaging the motivation for it. And that's kind of where I think we're at right now with agreeing, is that Democrats fight each other, the right will just fight the other side and a small section of their side and do whatever the messaging apparatus of the right says to do.
So you think the right wingers are more brainwashed?
I mean, yeah. And I think it's mostly because being conservative oftentimes, and this is not just American, I think this is kind of globally, being conservative means you have to take whatever's existed and find more and more ways to defend it in more and more ways, right? Because you have to preserve and not adapt. That's what conservatism is a lot of the time.
True.
It's saying we've done things well, why change it? And then you have to come up with better and better reasons why. And at some point, those reasons start to crumble, or the situation isn't the same, so you can't use the same standard you used 15 years ago for that argument. Which is part of the reason why I think the messaging apparatus is so beneficial for them now.
But arguably, you could say that a lot of the things that have been done in American history have worked well, hence why America's like the number 1 economy in the world. So maybe that's why they're saying that they want to preserve what worked in the past.
Yeah, and I do agree. Like, I am a hardcore capitalist. I think there are a lot of issues with it. If it's not kept under surveillance and we accept when things aren't working. But I don't think there is a system for governance or the economy that works better at creation and adaptation to issues than capitalism does. If there is, I haven't seen one.
I would agree. I'm inclined to agree.
And I am very center left for the most part, and I want a strong Republican Party because the Republican Party, the right side, is supposed to be the ones that tell me how good our system works, how great America is. And the left side is supposed to be like, it is great, but it could be better, right? And then they're supposed to kind of pick and choose what to fix and what to work on. But that's when I would say the right side is more brainwashed, right? That's because they don't argue about any of that stuff anymore, right? They don't have to, because they just put the message out in their giant apparatus of messaging, and they can literally change whatever narrative they want for their side. A great example, and not to pick on you, but she said something, and you did a good job because you looked it up right away, but she said something like, well, wasn't there something about a 13-year-old girl he essayed in the Epstein files? And you said, see, this is what I'm talking about. You're just kind of making a claim. You did the right thing, and you double-checked it, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's bad. They should look into that. A lot of people, and we know this, aren't going to do that. But the fact that they were able to create the term Trump derangement syndrome, and they can hand-wave everything now.
Yeah, but Trump derangement syndrome definitely does exist.
People take too far, and I agree. But I think it exists because we have so much evidence and to formulate speculation on that gets hand-waved, and he has never been held accountable for outside of the felony cases, right? Are you aware of all the information that came out about the classified documents case, for example?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, well, the long and short of it is the whole reason his Mar-a-Lago estate got raided was because for months they said, hey, you have these, we need them back. Hey, you have these, we need them back. He did not communicate with, I forget what committee, it's someone who's supposed to make sure they have documentation. I forget the name of the committee or the agency. But they were saying, give these back, please. Hey, we know you have them. Can you give them back? They requested. He kept denying. He eventually, him and his lawyers, just stopped communicating. And so they had to break into his house to get them back. He didn't reach out and say, hey, I would argue that I declassified these. He never said that when they were requesting for them. And then when they got in, they found them in his house. We have evidence of messages that came up during that investigation to show that he literally gave some to his lawyers and told them to store them away so he wouldn't know where they are. There's a whole bunch of this stuff. And he was never prosecuted for that because a judge he appointed threw it out because one of the Supreme Court members that he appointed in a concurring opinion for a completely different case said, I don't think the prosecutor in that case is going to be, constitutionally legal.
Do you not think that he was
and
kind
this
of...
is all to say...
Do you not think that they was kind of still politically motivated, how they kind of targeted him, or do you think that it was a legitimate thing?
Well, given everything I just mentioned about all the evidence we have, right? Do you think that it would matter at that point?
Kind of,
if we have all this evidence that there was very clearly motivation for a crime that he committed, and we have evidence of that crime, do you think just because, someone's like, I don't like him, investigate him, we should just let him get away with that?
I get the point that you're making. I think in the context of what you were talking about before, the Trump derangement syndrome, I think that if you're going to look into what a president has done, you're going to find something. Every single president, you're going to find something. So when you have the New York Attorney General, when you have someone...
The real estate case.
Well, just in general, because where was the documents case out of? Wasn't that out of New York?
No, the documents case was out of Florida.
Was out of Florida,
because
okay.
it was held in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, so was it actually the state of Florida that prosecuted him for that?
No, it was okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, it was the federal government. That he was never prosecuted for this. He was
They
investigated and
sorry.
then went to... Yeah.
Okay, but
it was the DOJ.
But do you not think that yeah, that's what I was referring to. So the DOJ and then the New York State Attorney, do you not think that they were kind of trying to do some kind of politically motivated targeting against him? Because I think, yes, it doesn't matter if he's done something, but it does matter in the interest of having a country that's running smoothly without a lot of political division. We do know that presidents have general immunity for a lot of different things. When you're targeting someone over a classified documents case, yes, he probably shouldn't have done it. Is it because remember, in law, there's also the concept of if something's in the public interest. And I would argue that after a certain point, when you're targeting the president for stuff like that, is it really in the interest of the public to create that level of division over something like that, whether he did it or not? I'm not saying it's good if he did it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying when you consider the overall context, you can see how that kind of just led to more division in the country, and he didn't really get anywhere.
Right. Well, I would make a counterclaim to that. That do you think it's better that a portion of the country should think it's lawfare as it was, or do you think it's better that a portion of the country thinks this guy got away with committing felonies simply by status? Right.
It's a good question.
Of those two things is way more scary. Like right now, again, I pointed that out. There's other stuff. We can go down a rabbit hole and everything. We can even talk about things they're currently doing, like ignoring judge orders until they absolutely have to, especially when it comes to immigration stuff, which you can agree or disagree with what's happening there.
Yeah.
But a big thing I've heard a lot of people talk about online is if they are completely ignoring the way the system works and ignoring judicial orders and ostensibly abusing power, and they are not held accountable because they all get pardoned before Trump leaves, then we essentially have shown the American people that these powers are fake, that if you get high enough up, you cannot be held accountable for what you do, and once you're elected official, as long as you're doing things for your team with the pardon power, you are above the law. It's not just the president at that point, it's everybody. And that is a much scarier reality to me than anything that's happened thus far.
I'm going to let you have the last word. I did have some points I wanted to raise, but I think that you really encapsulated your points well. And I want to actually think deeply about what you're saying, because I think what you said is a really, really good point. And I want to ruminate on it. And I also have been live for quite a while. So I'm going to give you the last word. Sorry, Ewan, did you want to just quickly say something before I go? Sorry, I do have to go.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to read off just a small snippet from a paper from the National Library of Medicine. So this is the abstract, the very beginning. Intelligence is correlated with a range of left-wing and liberal political beliefs. This may suggest intelligence actually alters our political views. Alternatively, the association may be confounded or mediated by socioeconomic or environmental factors. We studied the effect of intelligence with a sample size over 300 biological and adopted families using measured IQs and polygenic scores for cognitive performance. I'll just leave that there because that gives what I'm trying to get to. But here is my point. The right is a lot more convoluted in their own belief structure, and a lot of a lot of ideologies that have harmful effects to our society are predicated from the right. And it is simply because they have low cognitive ability. 52% of the U.S. Doesn't they are at a comprehensive level of a sixth grader.
Just to caveat that, it could also be that people with a higher cognitive ability are more likely to go into left-wing educational institutions.
Yeah, because left-wing beliefs are based on education, facts.
No. That's a that second point you made. While the first point, if I grant you that as objective data, the second point you made is a presupposition that there's a causal relationship between having between having high intelligence and then having left-wing beliefs. It could. Hold on. No, there isn't. Not based on what you said. It could just be correlative in the sense that let's say, for example, if I have 100 people. And 50 of them are really smart and 50 of them are not smart. And then I say, if you're smart, you get to come to the left-wing organization, right? Then that could also skew all the left-wing, or all of the smart people to have left-wing beliefs because they're more likely to go into an institution.
That's not what's happening, though.
But you can't. You have no data. Your data doesn't suggest either way. I'm saying that could be what's happening, but there's nothing you've said that refutes the fact that could be what's happening.
Oh, okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Meta-analysis found intelligence to be negatively correlated with right-wing ideologies, and this is all from polygenic testing, with ethnocentrism, conservatism, and also just right-wing conservative beliefs are fiscally because of from environmental and also how you were raised, or
for example,
beliefs, and those far right beliefs tend to also be of low intelligence, low empathy.
Let me give you an example, right? Let's say, for example, if all of the universities began to skew heavily right wing, and then after 30, 40, 50 years, the people going through those institutions are being taught by right-wing scholars, do you not think that that what you're describing would then shift the other way, and then most of the people with the higher IQ and intelligence would then have more right-wing beliefs based on the fact that they're more likely to go to the higher education institutions?
No, because this data directly shows the 100% correlation with low emotional intelligence.
Yeah, you're not understanding the point I'm saying. That's a
general
correlation.
intelligence,
No.
And just overall low cognitive.
I don't think you're understanding the point that I'm making. I've granted you, for example, the correlation. I'm saying that you can't establish that it's causal. I'm saying if all of the institutions were controlled by right-wing scholars, then it would stand to reason that the most intelligent people end up going to an organization where they get taught right-wing beliefs, right?
Then that
Surely
that would just be because of their beliefs that they're going to.
Exactly.
I mean,
so people argue
you
that the
can-
institutions are controlled by left-wing thought paradigms.
No, I'm not. No, institutions aren't controlled by left-wing agendas. That's not a thing. They're controlled by education, science, and morality. That's what.
But education, science, and morality can be influenced by left-wing agendas.
Because
what I would
left-wing
say-
agendas tend to coincide with higher levels of intelligence, higher levels.
No,
of empathy,
that's
higher
circular
levels
reason.
of
That's
social
circular
growth,
reasoning.
higher levels
That's circular
of,
reasoning. You've gone back. You've gone back to your. You've gone back to your first
financial
supposition.
literacy.
No, you keep going. You're using circular
if I
reasoning.
could step in. So, Elon, if you had to make his case for him, what is he saying? Like, you're arguing that case now. What is he saying?
He's saying, well, what he's saying is that people would be intelligent. People would be found to be intelligent if they were in these far right institutions, because these people who are teaching these institutions are of that far right structure.
I'm more saying
that
intelligent people are more likely to be taught left-wing beliefs. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because that's how.
Yeah,
it works.
he's saying that the intelligence of the person doesn't necessarily come down to the things listed in that study. However, that the intelligent people who took that study are already in college and already being adopted into left-wing ideology.
Yes.
Therefore, by the time they are studied, they've already been placed in a bucket.
Exactly.
Where if somebody else was in control of that, the bucket might look different.
And I'm not saying that you're necessarily wrong, because I think that there's other arguments you could make as to why.
I think there's a lot of huge arguments. Like
there's
that,
a lot. Like there's an argument. There's a guy I watch
we know
online.
for a fact that most.
There's a guy which There's a guy I watch online called Marquette, and he actually argues that he agrees that left wing people have higher IQ, but he argues that when a person's IQ becomes higher, they're more likely to be self-aware of their own weaknesses potentially, and by being self-aware of their own weaknesses, or their own malignance, they can often engage in self-destructive behaviors because of their own self-awareness of their own malignance. Like he gives the example of there's a lot of he uses white leftists as an example, and he says that he thinks that because white leftists have higher intelligence, they're more aware of their own biases, and so what they do is they engage in self-destructive behavior and ideology. This is his argument, that they engage in self-destructive behavior and ideology to try to counteract the malignance that they are aware of within themselves, exactly like a form of self-sabotage. So that's like another example of why simply having left-wing beliefs doesn't necessarily mean that your belief is predicated on you being correct, or simply being more intelligent doesn't mean that your beliefs are correct.
Well, yeah, obviously, being more intelligent doesn't mean your beliefs are correct.
Yeah.
But when your belief structure is based off of something having to do with, like, obvious, just general morality for humans around you, general empathy for those around you, that tends to lead you on a path of more left-wing, like, belief structures and ideologies, because it is centered around just inclusion of everyone.
Well, that's a presumption, because that's also a presumption, because that means that you could have a worldview where the overall objective is inclusion and equality, but then the means that you try to seek to achieve your objective